Hello and welcome to Over the Line Football. Probably one of the more sort of somber episodes we'll do on this channel. We've took a couple of days to sort of gather some thoughts on probably what is maybe the most depressing day in football history. On Sunday, as you all probably know, 12 founder clubs launched their intent to start the European Super League from next season onwards. A competition built from 15 founding members, so 12 that I've already announced and 3 that are soon to be announced, and then 5 that would qualify on sort of domestic performance. Agreed tactic from 12 clubs that only kind of care about one thing, and that's themselves and making money. I think it's quite clear that they don't care about fans. Actually, quote from the other day from the Super League was that generating revenues and profits are their primary concern. The integrity of the game is only their sort of secondary concern. Jamie, I know we were together when they announced it, but your sort of initial reaction to it all, why was it all sort of so shocking for you?
It's mainly just the complete disregard of just fans in general. I mean, we're going to go on to this, but it is just absolute chaos. I mean, the owners of every single one of these clubs aren't in the UK at the moment, so they couldn't give less of a shit. The fans are protesting outside the stadiums. They couldn't give less of a shit. They're not in the country. But the problem is, though, football clubs aren't football clubs anymore. They're now classed as businesses. If you're a business owner in the US and you get told you get guaranteed $300 million and $300 million each year just for entering a tournament that you can't really give less of a shit about, it's nothing to do in your country. You're going to snap your hand off straight away, aren't you? You're not going to be bothered about the consequences because you don't care. You just own the business. Kroenke, Glazers, all have other businesses in sports in the US already. I know that, for example. So why should they care about those clubs in Europe which are just in disarray now? All the fans are. I mean, Florentino Perez, obviously, on some Spanish channel yesterday, talked about the European Super League and how he thinks now he's a top dog now, basically. No one can touch him. No one can stop him, obviously. We might as well go on to it now. UEFA and FIFA have said that they will ban all players from participating in... You play for those 12 teams in Euro 2020. The World Cup, obviously, Gianni Infantino said he doesn't want it to happen either, so obviously FIFA's there, so the UEFA as well now.
Yeah, I mean, I think my thoughts is I normally think nothing would surprise me with what money's involved in football, but this has sort of completely shocked me. Me and you grew up with football all our lives, had moments of happiness, moments of sadness, but this is stealing everything that's great about football, the competition.
I don't grow up to want my club to win the JP Morgan Trophy. I don't get left to shit whoever it is. I'd rather my club fight the Premier League and fight against the best teams.
The idea for you that one day you could be in the Premier League and go and watch a game at the Etihad, a game at Anfield, a game at Stamford Bridge, and not even that. Like, look, there's stories constantly in football of teams that have overachieved, and
there's going to be no Leicester City anymore.
Yeah.
For example, there's not going to be another Leicester City story because no one cares. They want the rich to get rich and the poor to get poor, and that's how it is.
And the idea that these... Well, let's just focus on the 6 teams in the Premier League because obviously we're more connected to that.
Yeah.
The idea that these 6 teams are in it no matter what. What if you lose your first 2 games and it looks like you're not going to qualify? Like, how is there a competition there between?
There's no qualification no matter what. They're always there every time. There's 12 founding members, 15 founding members are going to be. They said, aren't they? But at 12 there at the moment, they're not going to get relegated or anything from there. They're guaranteed 250 million each year. That's what I was saying to you. If you're a business owner not from Europe, you go, guaranteed 250 million each year. I don't care about any other consequences. You step your hand off it. That's why it's just ridiculous. The winner of the Champions League gets 100 million, something like that. And then, if you don't even like Spurs and Arsenal, for example, not going to qualify for Champions League, and not going to win it out there, let's be honest, and they're going to get 250 million just for participating in this tournament. It's just absolutely crazy to me.
And it's the sort of some of the main points to me in the midst of a global pandemic that's affecting not just football clubs, every single person on the planet. But just focusing on football clubs lower down the pyramid, much lower down the pyramid even, are kind of fighting for their lives to stay running, let alone actually compete.
I work for Geo Town, and funnily enough, we've been getting loads of messages yesterday because I run a Twitter account as well. Got loads of messages about loads of Man United fans and Man City fans wanting to come and watch us next season. Which, to be fair, is probably a lot better as well. But it shouldn't really matter like that you don't want to support Manchester United anymore now because of the European Super League.
It's not even. It's not. The money like that is so minuscule. You know what I mean? A fans coming like that compared to what, and they're discussing multi-billion-pound dollar deals. Arsenal furloughed 80+ staff in the middle of that pandemic because they couldn't afford to pay them. These lads are probably on minimum wage. They're probably stewards, club staff. They're probably on minimum wage.
Ladies and stuff.
They're furloughing him at the same time. They're negotiating a deal that'd see him get 400 million quid for just participating. Honestly, I didn't think it'd ever get this bad, but
there's no real words to say about it. It's just pure greed and no. Like Florentino Perez said yesterday, and I'll give him mention him because he's supposed to be the chairman of this new European Super League. He said yesterday, Madrid have lost 400 million this year. We need to make the money back. This pandemic, everyone's in the same situation. Well, not everyone's in the same situation. We all lost money. Yeah, but we're all not greedy enough to not care about everyone else.
He was saying there's so much stuff he was saying that was just false. I mean, he said that 16 to 24-year-olds
don't care about football. That's where the majority, obviously, Man City's fans now, obviously, as you know, Man City fans, there isn't, I'm saying there's not many 16 to 24-year-olds, but a lot of Man City's fans are an older age group. But to disregard that for the future, as in, you said they want to do 2 30-minute halves, 2 minute 45s in that example, and you'll stop time wasting, all that kind of stuff. It's the whole point of the game. Is that also happens. It's years and years of how football's made. If he's going to try and change football, I mean, I don't know what the reaction's like in Spain and Italy. Obviously, those are the other two countries that are involved into it. I mean, if someone knows, or if you're one of those fans of those clubs, just let us know what it's like. Obviously, in Germany, there's a 50+1 rule in Germany, where no matter what, the fans own the club. So that's why every single club in Germany has nothing to do with this Super League. Bar, I know, Red Bull Leipzig, because Red Bull own them, and they're not. I think they're the only club that's not got the 50+1 rule. Some of that anyway. They haven't joined anyway, which is alright. But every single club in Germany has a 50+1 rule where the fans own the club and they decide what happens, rather than the owners, for example. Yeah. So, but it's just so frustrating. Like I said, I mean, as a Bristol City fan, my best moments as a Bristol City fan, obviously growing up, I'm 21 years old now. Obviously, we won the League One, won the double JP trophy, and then 2 years later we managed to. Like in 2007, I was there at Wembley, crying at 7 years old when we lost a hole in the playoff final, and that was to get to the biggest league in the world, and that was the Premier League. And that's what you dream of being a kid and watching your team play in the Premier League against those best players week in, week out. That's the whole point of the Champions League. Players are posted about that as them wanting to win the Champions League as a child. You don't, like I said, you don't grow up wanting to win the JP Morgan Trophy. Fuck it, you don't go, that's it. I want to win the JP Morgan Trophy against the best teams in the world.
But the problem
it's not competition. It don't matter. If you lose, you lose. No one cares.
The problem we've got as well is we've got to stop it before it goes ahead. Because when it goes ahead, I've always said this, there's always going to be someone who's going to buy the ticket for it. There's always a broadcaster that would sell them the soul to do it. I mean, DAZN in America, do you think they care about football? Well, I mean, they don't have relegations in MLS
No,
anyway.
They don't. Well, I was going to speak about I had to do a business piece on them recently for my in uni. And in MLS, you have to pay to get in your division. And the teams that are like, I know there's the Tampa Bay Rowdies in the, like, there's a United States, USL, I think it's called, and the division basically underneath the MLS, and their team's just like owned by fans, and they've got really good. I mean, Joe Cole played for them a couple of years ago, and they've got just general clubs. And then obviously, I'm not saying anything bad about David Beckham, for example, but I'm saying I don't think it's right that we're basing everything off America compared to Europe. America is completely different to Europe. I bet you speak to any American now, they couldn't name you 5 countries in Europe. They say, I think Europe's all one thing. You think like from London to like Belgrade, like 2-hour journey in the car. They couldn't care.
When was the last time you saw one of these owners at one of the matches?
That's exactly my point.
Not one.
Like I said to you, none of these owners are in the UK. None of them care what happens because they're not in the UK. Now, I've seen stuff as well. People want to say they want to get fans in the UFC to support football, to go and actually go to them and then protest outside where they work, for example, that kind of stuff. That might work, but end of the day, they don't care. Like I said, from a business point of view, if you're guaranteed an extra 250 million each year, you're going to step your hand off at it. You're not going to care about the consequences because you can pay that back, 250 million.
Even if the Premier League bottled it and allowed the 6 clubs to still compete in the Premier League whilst competing in the Super League in midweek, it'd be like a training exercise for the top 6. They would not take it seriously because the Super League is the more lucrative thing for them.
It's also the fact as well, Klopp said he wants less games then rather than more games. And if the European Super League happens, that's, for example, 20 teams at one league. Oh no, they said it'll split into 10, didn't they? So that's at least 9 games an extra than 9 games are playing. For example, there's going to be international breaks in this as well, obviously for international duty.
Yeah, but the Super League players won't be doing international games.
That's what I'm saying. For example, so I'm saying that none of this happened. What the original plan was, they want the European Super League to happen during everything happened, that everyone carry on playing. That was the main aim of the European Super League. And if they want it to happen, there'll be like 12 less midweeks that players are free. The players, the owners don't care about the players. The players are going to be absolutely knackered. You're going to be playing like under 17s against Everton in the Premier League, and how's that fair on anyone else? There's, like I said already, say 5 teams. They said 5 teams get there on merit as well, didn't they? Do you expect now, for example, say all these 6 teams that leave the Premier League, say Everton win the Premier League next season, do they expect an invite to this European Super League? And if so, are they then removed from the Premier League? Obviously, I've seen already that if those 6 clubs want to come back in the Premier League, if they join the European Super League, you have to start a national league. You're going to see like the bottom. So it's no sense whatsoever. But obviously, like I said, the owners don't care. It's not a lot of football clubs now are PLCs, businesses, rather than football clubs. Not fan owned. Everything's up in the air.
There's a lot of confusion, obviously.
It's just.
Do you have any feelings on how this may go forward? Because obviously we've took a time to kind of read about it, but obviously the bare facts is that everyone is. I mean, that's the main positive in it, that everyone is opposed to it. Everyone, including, it seems like the players involved in it. I know we're recording this kind of the day after Liverpool drew with Leeds. Klopp said he doesn't want it. James Milner said he didn't want it. So I assume that they're sort of spokespeople for the rest of the team.
But that's the problem, is they can't do anything about it. There's nothing to do with them. Obviously, I know, like even Klopp and Milner said already in the interviews after the game, there's no point of the fans coming to the game and protesting because the players can't do anything about it. The players literally just there to get their money and go home and see back their families, isn't it? You know what I mean? They're there to play. Like James Miller put a tweet out before saying it was free. They lost 2 points getting close to the Champions League. They still care about the Champions League still. They still want to be in the best competitions in the world, and that European Super League might be the best teams in the world. But you're gonna get sick and tired of playing Real Madrid every 2 weeks.
That's what's so good about it, isn't it? Like the Liverpool-Barcelona game, it was so brilliant for Liverpool fans, but if they played them every week, it just would have been one of them, like a comeback.
And
you know what I mean?
And you can guarantee as well, if they price tickets to be £120 a ticket or something like that.
Well, but once this gets going, it'll go stratospheric because they'll do it in America instead of England. They'll have the derby in America.
And all fans in stadiums soon will be tourists. There'll be no actual football fans left in stadiums. You'll see.
It's like the NFL.
Yeah, there'll be £120 a ticket. I mean, in NFL, I've seen already, they've moved teams around the country.
Yeah, they're not even in the area.
So the team could be in Washington, they moved them to like Florida. They don't care. They just want to make money, and that's the best place for them. They don't care about the fans, which I've seen. Like I think there's a New York Rams recently moved themselves, so they've moved. I think something to do with Rams anyway. They moved, and it was the Oakland Raiders as well. They're not Oakland Raiders anymore. There's something Raiders instead. So they've been moved as well. But it's just the owners don't really care. They just want to make money. But the problem is, like I said, their owners are comparing everything to America, and we're not American. We are completely different here in Europe. And if you're watching this in America, obviously you know what it's like in the US and that kind of stuff as well. From what obviously the MLS is like, for example, if you're a football fan, or even not like the NBA and the
NFL. a lot of what you'd class as proper football fans that live in America, they support like a Premier League club because the MLS is just so poor in terms of quality. It's so sort of commercialised. And in terms for these clubs now, even if it doesn't happen, which it's difficult to see. Like, I can't just say, like, oh, it's definitely not going to happen because everyone is against it, because these lads in charge are so for it. It would take clubs dropping out for it to stop it because it will go to courts. And have you seen what one club did in Manchester City to a whole UEFA court? Can you imagine what Perez, Henry, the Glazers, Kroenke, all of them together would do?
Perez said there's no chance, in the interview yesterday, he said there's no chance UEFA kick us from the Champions League because there's no chance they can ban our players. Perez thinks he's Perez thinks he's God, basically.
That's the idea in it. They're saying that the Premier League will bottle it and be like, we can't afford for you not to be in this league. If this league's going ahead, you're just going to have to play it alongside it. And that's the idea. So we've got to we've got to make sure the Premier League and all the kind of governing bodies stand firm on the threats, and hopefully some clubs. I know Gary Neville and Carragher summed it up better than we could.
But they can say that though, Gary Neville and Jimmy Carragher.
No, but that's what I'm
saying about Klopp. Like Klopp yesterday was getting irritated with Gary Neville because Klopp wants to say stuff, but he's not allowed to say it. So that's why
but I'm saying this pressure and the threats surrounding it have got to be maintained. Otherwise, clubs are not going to feel threatened in joining this league. I know they've signalled their intent, but they could drop out at any minute.
They can't. The Florentino Perez said yesterday he's not allowed to leave the league. The whole point is they've signed a binding contract. You're not allowed to leave the league. That's what they've said. That's right. Let's say hypothetically right now, by the way, that those 6 teams in the Premier League, they join the Super League and they can't join the Premier League again now. There's 14 teams now in the Premier League. Do the 6 teams currently in the top 6 in the Championship get promoted, or are they based off history? So they're going to say that Blackburn get promoted, Sunderland get promoted in League One, for example. Are they going to base off other stuff? I'm saying hypothetically at the moment. Are you going to say right now that PSG win the Champions League by default? Are you going to say that Bayern get reinstated and so did Dortmund? There's so much stuff in the air right now. Like, do the current teams, like, are West Ham going to win the Premier League, for example, now because of this? I'm just saying hypothetically, this is the situation that's going on the Premier League, so they're going to ban everything out. Like, Prime Minister Boris Johnson said he's going to try and do everything in his power as well. I mean, if Boris Johnson's getting involved, then you know it's kind of serious. It's so much hypothetical things there now. The top 6 in the Championship, are they going to have a playoffs anymore? If they might do a playoffs, 3 get promoted, and then are Sheffield United not going to get relegated anymore? Are Sheffield United going to be told, oh no, you actually stay in the Premier League now? Same with Fulham and West Brom. There's so much stuff in the air right now, and no one has an idea what's going on. It's just pure,
so fast moving.
It's pure confusion. It's all happened over one day, and there's so much threats going on at the moment.
But the problem is,
concrete.
The problem is, it's not going to slow down because they want to do it next season.
August, they said.
So this is not a plan for 10 years' time. They're doing it next season. So it's got to be sorted now, like in the next week or so. Otherwise, I mean, the next week or so. I mean, you've got a cup final between the 2 of the teams involved on Sunday, and 3 of the teams involved are in the Champions League semi-final. So it's got to be sorted in the next couple of weeks.
You're a Man City fan, aren't you? Obviously.
Yeah.
As a Man City fan, are you now, for example, going to go and watch the rest of the season? Obviously, Man City in competitions, obviously the Carabao Cup, and if you're allowed to stay in the Champions League for now, are you going to watch the club, knowing the fact that they're going to be in the European Super League?
It's difficult for me because obviously I do it for work.
I know.
So I honestly have no idea what to think. I'm not bothered about anything in terms of achievements anymore. No, because it feels like the club have completely and utterly with City individually. I always believed City were a club, no matter what you think about them spending wise, that were against this elite, that shown clubs there is a way to break into this elite group of clubs and compete on the highest level. And they've always been open and honest with us. The supporters group, obviously a lot of supporters groups are coming out and saying that they're not obviously involved with the clubs anymore after this. City's is 1894, and they said, in Sheikh Mansour's open letter to us when he bought the club in 2008, he always said, I'll always have the fans' best interests at heart, and I will always consult the fans on any matters that would affect the club.
Crazy.
And I mean, it's just not coming up, and it feels like, and every time I've heard the chairman, who's City's chairman, Khaldoon Al-Mubarak, speak, you've always thought he's a genuine man who cares about the fans and what happens to the club, and it just feels like you've been mugged off. You know what I mean? All this stuff that they've said over this last 10 years, coming from directly from a City perspective, it feels like everything's gone. But I can understand with other clubs as well. This whole thing, I know it caused a bit of beef between Klopp and Neville, but this whole sort of "you'll never walk alone" thing, it kind of feels like the club have gone against everything that the likes of Shankly and Paisley have built at Liverpool, and Ferguson's built at United, and Wenger built at Arsenal. You know what I mean? It's gone against everything that these clubs have stood for so many years. Alright, Chelsea and City are clubs that have recent success have been built on buying players and spending money.
Spurs, excuse
me. But before City had money, there was a club that had a core fan base of 30,000 that used to turn up at Main Road every week and support the team because they love the club. And there's players from past years from every single one of these clubs who have fought for the badge and fought for the fans, and now it just feels like everything has just been completely stabbed in the back by these 6 owners of the clubs. Let's get it right. It's nothing to do with these teams. It's quite clear that this team the players and the manager had nothing to do with it.
Obviously.
It was the owners of the club. And they've just been, even them, they've been left. I mean, Klopp, I felt so sorry for Klopp yesterday and the players. They've been thrown out of there with no warning in front of the media, having to give these interviews, and they've not even they know as much as we do. So it just feels like, as I said, we've been completely stabbed in the back, and all these. It's like a scam, innit? It feels like, you know what I mean, all these years you've been sold this dream, and then it's just not coming. It's difficult to find the words to kind of say about it, but
obviously you said about being stabbed in the back as well. Obviously Man City have tried to build a local area around Manchester City Stadium as well.
Yeah.
There's going to be a new community stadium being built literally next door. They've basically redone the whole area, and not all this is just for nothing now. Basically, over one silly decision not to join his European Super League has basically ruined his reputation for Man City. I think, really. Do you agree with it, or do you think this is just another way to help the whole city get better?
No. I think everyone's unanimous in how they feel. It just feels like, how can you support a club that's done this? And you know what I mean? Like, City used to be part of this. Not even over. At times they were even part of the over 14. They were a part of the over 92. You know, they were in the second division, and you know the club. I've had some absolute shit times where they were relegated to the third division and stuff like that. So City know what it's like to be these clubs that are struggling. All right, we've won the lottery, in quotation marks, and are now competing at the highest level, and that's brilliant. But it just feels like we've gone against everything that we've stood for. And I can only speak from a City perspective. I'm not entirely sure what club fans of other clubs think. But yeah, it just feels like they've gone against everything that they said they would stand for, and they have stood for in the past. And I remember with the UEFA ban, it was always about the fans and the fact that the fans it's not fair that the fans are kind of tarnished like this for supporting this club. And when they beat the ban, it was just like, oh, these lads know what they're doing. They want the best interest of the fans at heart and stuff like that. But now it just feels like, no, again, it just feels like I've been mucked off completely by my club. In terms of supporting them for the rest of the season, we're top of the Premier League. We're in a final next Sunday. We're in a Champions League semi-final, if that even goes bloody ahead. And it just feels all hollow. It doesn't feel like real. I will be watching them like I'll be watching a pre-season, like another club's game, because I have to do it for work. But
when you see the teams like Man United and AC Milan play each other in the US, you don't see any British fans really paying attention much, do you? Because obviously it's like not a real thing. It's like a friendly. But I am generally going to feel like I said previously, it's now going to be like a tourist-based sport. No one's going to care about true fans anymore. It's going to be literally loads of Americans, £125 a ticket. You want to I'll keep on saying comparing to Germany and Bundesliga, but in Bundesliga, the max limit for a ticket £25, no matter what, per game, and that's that. They keep it as that. I'm not saying just saying the Premier, I'm saying all around in the UK. That's more than that in the Championship. I mean,
it's £90 for a football shirt.
I know.
And that's not with a name on the back. That's just you know what I mean? Like, how ridiculous is that? I mean, that is so minuscule. But that is the problem. I saw someone tweet this morning. I can't remember who it was, so I'm sorry that I can't credit you here. But it's like people were saying they're not interested in football yet because it's not affordable. It's not affordable for kids our age who are going through university and going through education to afford to go all these places every week and travel and buy all the merchandise and get involved in everything, because it is simply unaffordable for people our age.
Well, this is why.
Not even people our age, working class people of these cities. You know what I mean?
It's the whole
Manchester
point.
is
The whole point of
working
sports.
class city ever.
It's supposed to be the working class sport, and now it's turning to sport agreed. I mean, if you now want to come watch your local non-league club, please do. I mean, they're going to need a lot of help support as well. I know lots of non-league clubs that are able to fold this season or not, just be able to face it because they haven't enough money to. If you want to support your local club, or even just there's apps out there, see what your local club nearby is and go and support. Even just donations on one of their websites, or speak to any of the clubs on Twitter, please do, because that would really help them. And if you don't want to go and support your club anymore and you feel like there's a disconnection, you're not the only one in that boat. There's many fans now in the world. I'm saying, sorry, in Europe, 'cause obviously in the world, there's a stupid way to say, that they feel so disconnected from their club, that I feel like after 40 years of being a fan of their club, they don't care about the club anymore. After Euro, I'm not saying you don't care about the club, Man City anymore.
I think it's obvious, really, that they don't. I think it's obvious that I was going to say eventually, like coming from purely from a City's perspective, that there was going to be something like this, but we kept putting it off with what they were telling us about caring about us, and all these clubs are supposed to be like, clubs for the fans and stuff like that, and it's just all lies, obviously. Right, we're going to wrap it up there. We've said pretty much all we wanted to say. Everything obviously is a bit confusing because the details are not 100%, but if anything major comes out, obviously we will give our thoughts on it on another video, but we just thought we'd come on. It's kind of inevitable to speak about it at the moment, so we thought it would be best to. I'd say leave your thoughts on the Europe Super League in the comments, but I think everyone's in agreement in it, so yeah, if you like the video, like it. We just wanted to get our thoughts out there, nothing much more than that. And yeah, we'll see you on a more happier video next time.
Fingers
hopefully.
crossed. See you later.